Hi everybody, this is Bruce with Habowski Studio. Thanks for joining me for another 20-minute painting challenge. And today it was a challenge. So we're going to get into that and show you the painting, how it progressed. And thanks for joining me. And don't forget to follow me on Facebook at Habowski Studio and my website www.habowskistudio.com. Okay, we're going to get started here. I'm using the same palette I used for my last challenge, a Nocturne. And I had mentioned, I think, that I might do Nocturnes for the rest of the 20-minute challenge here, but I decided to not to, and to just experiment with things I've been wanting to try for a while. In this case, I went out walking this afternoon, winter light. It's about 4 p.m. and the light on some of the structures was really nice. I'll set my watch for timer. Again, this is 20 minutes and starting right now. I'm just going to take, I'm using titanium white, permanent blue, cad yellow, and cad red, and a little bit of impasto gel. Deciding where I want to have the house. I'm going to have it blow off a little bit here, and I'm enlarging the scene just a hint because where the light is on the house is the effect I want the most of. And if you have, like, I'm drawing this house out and I don't see this other angle right here on my left, but for me, I like to draw through a shape and just lightly indicate some perspective lines, because then I know I'm not going to get the peak of the house kind of wonky. If I was to draw in this rooftop that I see here, then you can have problems a little bit later on, potentially. And this roof goes down further, but I'm fibbing a bit so that I can create some interest down there. Not too much. The angle on the house is severe. You can use your brush to mimic an angle. Kind of go up, and there's a dormer on this house that I'm working on now that is should be quite a challenge in this scale. But I like how the light is hitting it. So I want to put that in there. And get our perspective there. Starts to taper. Not worry about a perfect drawing, just some base lines to work with. Since it is an architectural subject, you got, even if you want to have it painterly, you got to have some structure. And I'll do a little analysis at the end of the painting, but there's some tangents that I don't like on the house behind here. So I'm changing a few things to not have that issue, because that can really look funny in a painting. So and it's kind of relaxing. I'm probably can't hear it in the background, but I've recently kind of been Actually, I am gonna extend this roof all the way down like it is, because I'll end up with a tangent if I don't. Been recently listening to jazz saxophone in the studio off YouTube, and pretty awesome. I like it a lot. There's actually a house over here in the composition that I just think it's going to be too much clutter. I don't really like it. I'm going to make up a house, something a little more basic to not take away from my main focal point, which is this house here. So I'm just putting in a house up back here. Just kind of making up some effects and opportunity to have some green and sunlight, warm green. We'll try that out. I'm going to vary the height a little bit because of this peak of the roof. I don't want the same height as the trees. Okay, so 5 minutes into that little sketch now. Let's get some color on there. There's also a little busyness in the sky in terms of a little bit different color of clouds, but I really want to work on simplifying that. That's the key of these challenges. And I mixed up a little on my palette. Test it. Too rich. What I'll do is I'll mix a little more blue, because I also didn't like that it was light in value. A little blue, a little bit of the cad red. Test next to that, next to the, right there. Too dark, a little white. I'm gonna go with that. Mix up a little more pile. Really, again, I picked an urban subject, probably shouldn't have, but hey, you know. Get some colors in there using a Robert Simmons Signet Flats. What size? 4. I'm trying to get kind of a grayish blue, so when I pop the sunlight on the house, I'm hoping I will have nailed the effect that I'm looking for. A little more blue, whites, touch more red, a little more blue. A little more like dirty, basically, in terms of intensity, chroma. Okay, I'm just putting the brush down, working on a little bit, so forgot to mark in the windows here. Not going to go too crazy here. And I'm shooting these kind of in real time. Going to try to. Battery's a little wimpy on the ELF. Using relationships where the window lines up in terms of the peak of the roof there. Scooting a window over. I can clean that up more with the yellow that I put down. There's a window right here. Now I got, waiting for my, there we go. Okay. All right. Good enough. Going to get in some key element for me, which was the, what do you call it, yellow on the house. Let's mix up some of that, mixing up my cad yellow, some white. Ideally, it would have been nice to have a white house with this yellowy glow, but it's a yellow house, but lit by the afternoon sun. Test a little area. Check the richness, pulling in. Again, I'm creating strings on my palette a little bit. Not dirtying the whole pile, just pulling off a little bit, starting a new pile. Getting a little more, just going for it a bit. Test next to that. I'm going for that. I like that against the blue. And going to put that in with a soft Robert Simmons sapphire brush. I like these brushes a lot too. You know, we artists, we love our brushes, so really is a nice, soft. I can clean up, get straighter lines in a moment. Just trying to slather some paint on here, so to speak. Yeah, I'm following the photo pretty well. There's proportioning is different in a few spots. I'm not super concerned about that. Again, with the challenge, you got to pick your battles, and really it's about analyzing how I might tackle something, some effect in real life if I was playing or painting. So doing the 20-minute challenges really kind of, I think, develops your skill, ability to quickly judge a scene and select that which is important to you, and get some color notes. I mean, I could do, say you want to work on something more, you could say do this as a little 20-minute study when you get to your site for a light effect, and then you'll have that little light sketch to go by if you want to come back to the location at another time after you can come back and draw it out, take all day long drawing it out on site, and then you can put wait for that effect again somewhat, and then use the a new day with your sketch that you did, and get a nice little replication of the scene. A little bit of blue, believe it or not, and the yellow, I'm seeing this greenish shadow. Mixing a little mud, yellow, red, blue. Testing. It's very dark in the photo, but I'm not going to go too crazy. You want to be careful of following the photo too much like that, because the camera lens is finding an average. So I'm going to put a little more darkness in there, especially right along the edge of the shadow, and let it get a little lighter out to the other side. Again, on the dormer you have that effect. Tighter space too, the light doesn't creep in there as much. It's a small area, and I'm going to test going a little deeper on that. And we have the bit of yellow catching on the dormer. Saving a little space for the white. Whoa, I'm at 15 minutes. I am slacking away. Woo! This is definitely a test, man. I'm telling you what. This is probably no fun for you guys, but it is a learning curve for me. Trying to, might help to have like a little watch near you so you always are looking at that, and it's testing me in terms of, all right, Bruce, you know, quit messing around with one little aspect of the scene, start moving around, get those big shapes. I keep saying I want to do that, and we always get interested in some small detail. Going back into shadow here, dormer shadow. Getting a little more yellow and red into that. Saving the area where I'm going to have trim in shadow. Mix up some of that. It's darker than the sky. Down here. Closing in on 20 minutes. Wow. Okay. White. Hint of yellow, touch of the red. Just trying to make a warmish trim color. Let's get that knocked in. Really pushing the limits here. Goes here. Pushing into that blue a little bit. Stopping because now you're into shadow. Going into my blue. Got about 30 seconds left. Wow. This is, woo-wee. I do like the idea that I guess I'm using urban-y structured elements in the 20-minute challenge here, because if you nail, in my opinion, if you can nail this, doing landscape should be, in theory, easier, at least for me. Just knocking in some white of the window frame. Knock in clean up, and unfortunately I'm at 20.5 minutes. So that is the end of the road for this painting. Wow. Okay, there's really not much to go over for analysis. As you saw in the previous clips, I didn't finish the painting and ran out of time big time. These challenges can be very exhausting. I find that sometimes what happens is I get caught up in little elements that I'm liking in a scene, and no matter how much after the fact I think about, okay, next one I have to focus in and get with the big shapes and then go in for the details. It just gets away from you sometimes. So what you're going to see coming up is the time-lapse finish of the painting, and I still have some things I want to do. As you can see here on the easel, I have the painting in its completed stage after another 20-30 minutes of work, and we're going to go over that ahead of the time-lapse and explain a few things in that. So let's do that. So overall, I like the composition of the painting. What I decided to do after the fact, as you can see, is I want to continue this shadow onto the part of the house over here because the tree's falling across. You know, it'd be kind of silly, obviously, to have it end right here. That wouldn't be the reality of the scene. So having all the yellow on there like I did, I had to scrape down the palette knife as much as I could, apply the color over top of that, and still was obviously too wet, and mixed a little with the yellow, creating a shade of color that I don't really care for. But it gives me the effect that I want to continue with, and once this is dry, I'll fix this shadow color here. But overall, there's some nice effects going on that I like. I like the glow in the side of the house over here. I'll do a touch more work probably on the chimney, not much. And I do like this combination I came up with, the sky and the color of the house. That's really kind of what my mind was on in this challenge. So time can run away with you in that aspect. But I like how the rest of it came out. And for a little interest, I'm thinking of adding like a little vent portal right here that you see at the peak of garages or houses sometimes, just for a little interest in there. Or maybe the top part of a window here. I haven't really decided. I kind of like this aspect with the odd number of windows, which is kind of cool. And how I handled this suggestion of windows in the shadow part is pretty cool. I like that a lot. I don't know if the camera's picking up on it. Maybe I'll try from a different angle, but the paint's on here pretty thick. There's actually a ridge of paint right here that, from the light shining down, actually gives it a nice effect. That's pretty cool. Obviously got to repair a little in this roof here, because when I was working in here, I disrupted some of this. So, you know, what are you going to do? Overall, I like it. I think it's kind of cool. Definitely the challenge is becoming something of really wakes you up to certain things. So. Okay, I want to thank you for joining me for this day 3 challenge. I almost debated about even posting this one, but it'd be kind of pointless because you know, I have the 5-day challenge, and you know what? We have to put in the bad with the good in terms of where I was at with the painting at the 20-minute mark. It's a little embarrassing in a way, but it is what it is. Not much I can do about that. And continue to watch the other 2 coming up. And after the next 2 videos, I do have some really cool videos coming up. I got this really nice painting I did the other day that I filmed. And it's of some houses also, and you're going to really enjoy that one. Came out super nice, and I'm usually a pretty tough critic on my own work, so be looking for that. Of course, in the cycle of my postings, there's probably going to be 3 videos out, 3 or 4. And thanks for joining me, and I invite you to subscribe if you're new to the channel. Thanks for watching, and for everyone else, thanks for your continued support by watching my videos, commenting, and let me know what you think. Take care. Bye.